Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say hello and welcome to a fresh, brand new edition of the program ASHFORD GARLEY Live on Brace Radio Africa. Today is Monday, the 20th of November 2023. And I just want to say a big welcome to all of you from every part of the world who find themselves listening right now. As always, Father God, want to give you praise. Want to say a big thank you to you. Want to magnify your name. We want to glorify your name, Lord Jesus. We pray for Liberia. Pray for the people of Liberia. Pray that you bring peace upon us. In Jesus' name, we have given thanks. Well, folks, as always, you heard the name. Some call him the mastermind, the doctor of love, the medicine of the microphone. He doesn't eat iron, but he's definitely stronger than a lion. As for the giant, the now you know me, Garlet, welcome. At this time, we like to say welcome to my co-host, Mrs. Lexi Brooks Roberts. Mrs. Roberts, how are you?
Very good. How are you, Mr. Garley?
I'm better than good.
Great.
And
How was your weekend?
weekend was fantabulous. Yeah, we had a great time. I
Okay.
also like to say hi to the Reverend Idatus Added. Reverend Added, hello and welcome to the show.
Greetings to all of you wonderful panelists, Mr. Giant Garley, as well as my own sister, Letty Brooks. Greetings to all of you wonderful Liberians. Such a pleasure once more to talk about our nation and the way forward after these very tough elections. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Idatus, why don't you go ahead and give us the menu for the night?
Well, certainly there are two things, quite frankly, brewing today. The Honorable Joseph Imampoika was able to speak to the press after the announcement of these results, thanking all Liberians for their contributions towards these elections, thanking those who protected the votes, and also giving a commitment to fulfilling their desires as anticipated upon his incumbency as president. Secondly, it has been reported by the Spoon Network that it's trending all over on the Facebook and media sites that a vehicle ran into a group of Unity Party supporters who were celebrating at the headquarters. It has been reported so far that there are 10 dead, several people injured, and the vehicle was a Hyundai gray looking. It hit the people and was immediately set on fire. And eyewitnesses reporting that they saw the individual who committed the act get on a red motorcycle to escape along with his partner. So at this time, it is, we just want to extend our heartfelt sympathy on behalf of the President-elect Joseph Imampoika, and we're asking all of our partisans to remain calm and not react to such provocation, and just allow the law to take its course. Thank you.
Well, on behalf of
Our
the
deepest, our beat and sorry, Ash, for our deepest sympathy to the bereaved family at this time and all those who've been injured from this situation. Thank you.
well, on behalf of the management and staff of British Radio Africa, we condemn in the strongest stand the other went on today. I would consider that a terrorist art. We should be talking about peace and reconciliation, and not uh, the thing that we just heard this afternoon. This should never happen. There's no space for this in our society, and this is the first of its kind that we've heard in recent time. It's so sad, and for those who lost their lives, our condolences to the relatives and loved ones. Mrs. Lexi Brooks Roberts.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Garley, and again, welcome to our audience and my fellow panelists as we begin another smooth Monday evening. We are very saddened by the news. We condemn the act. It is domestic terrorists or terror, and whoever is responsible, we, as Pastor Datu said, wait on the Lord to take its course. Let us not jump into conclusion because they may be trying to, start something. So let's not do anything. Let's not fight back. Let's hold ourselves together. I suggest that the president elect ask his partisans and, of course, all Liberians to observe a curfew and stay out of the streets at night because they're going to be trying times. So that will be my suggestion to the administration and incoming administration. As we know that George Weah stated, he's still the president, and it's true, but he is also responsible for the peace of the people. So we're asking him to please talk to whomever is responsible, or whoever plans anything that they hold down because our people lives are very important. The young people are going to jubilate, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we cannot take people's lives senselessly. Thank you so much.
Joel Dennis, the campaign for the next election starts after the last election. And to wake up to this sad news, and we see Liberians on the social media making statements like, we are going to finish them. This is just the beginning. What is going on?
Look, look. I mean, like I said the last time I was on the show, that this period between now and the inauguration is going to be the most dangerous period we had in the history of this country. But let me say this: Jefferson Koji and his chief of police should be fired immediately. Immediately. If George Weah wants to save himself, he needs to fire them immediately. I don't care if they were directly involved. When you have this type of security lapse in any country, they have to go. Jefferson Koji cannot be over this investigation. The chief of police must not be over this investigation. They have to be fired immediately. Immediately. Okay. And Liberia must begin a transition process right now, or else this is going to get out of control. This is serious. I mean, you're dealing with a situation where somebody just needs to just pull the dynamite stake. Okay, they need to. If we have to go to an interim government until George Weah leaves, because George Weah have lost control of these boys. He's no longer in power. He's lost complete control. We have to take this situation serious. This is not about peace. This is not about peace anymore. I mean, lives have been lost. I mean, like the Liberians, we are maybe 1 or 2 degrees of separation from one another. We all after the victims have been named, we'll probably find out that we knew some of these people. So this thing should not happen. George Weah needs to hand over power to an interim government because he has lost complete control. He is useless to the CDC now. He cannot control these boys. Thank you.
Dr. Gay, you were just in Liberia for the elections. I, are you surprised? Did you sense that we were going to see this kind of barbaric things going on in the country?
Yes, I do. In fact, if you were to follow any of my Facebook thing, I've always made a comparative analysis for George Weah and the populist Donald Trump. I said CDC is a cult. It's not a political party. So because it has a sense of human worship rather than institution building, that is why these anchors are directed towards the people, because it is not so much about Liberia, it is about George Weah. These supporters are. Again, we will get more details as to who were involved. Just as we have said, let me use this occasion to pray and to wish our deepest condolences to the family, the loved ones, to know that this that happened, this will always be recorded as Liberia's January 6th. So I'm not surprised. Liberia, in fact, as I said, one of the things I did, back then was to do a full index on Liberia. Security, institution, infrastructure, the issue of democracy and the economy has all been broken down. This is just a beginning for us to see.
Idatu's election such as this close uh, requires a lot of work in terms of bringing our people together. Take it away.
Yes, so you're absolutely correct. We are in a transitional phase. People are still disappointed. People are grieving the loss. That is why it's incumbent upon the president-elect and our current president, who is yet responsible for our national security, to ensure that this transition is peaceful, fair, and uncompromising to the welfare and dignity of the people. What happened today is disappointing. It is intended to provoke violence between these two parties and their partisans. And this is something that cannot be tolerated. The Honorable Joseph Yuma Boyka spoke today, calling for calm in these transitions and raising our hope that he looks forward to fulfilling the expectations of the Liberian people. But let's be very clear, Ashford, what happened today is dangerous for the stability of our country. And our president, George Weah, who is still president, needs to speak and speak now, because the propensity for this thing to degenerate for the worst is able to happen. There are also people on the Unity Party side that could potentially take this as a provocation for retaliation. But we cannot allow this, and that is why we are calling on all of our partisans to remain calm. In a few more days, we'll restore dignity to leadership in this country. And even those who are persecuting now to the loss of innocent lives will begin to see that this government is indeed for everybody. It's not a unity partisan government. It's a government of the people, by the people, for the people, indicative of a greater good and not personal self-aggrandizement. So let's wait and see. Remain calm, stay calm. Let's respect the law. Do not retaliate. Victory is certainly ours. And let's lead with dignity and respect for civility. Thank you.
Mrs. Lexi Brooks Roberts, George Weah is not a leader, and he has never been a leader. 6 years ago, uh, members of the Unity Party were not happy following the outcome of the elections. But Honorable Boycott got up and said, not a single blood
Yeah.
will be wasted. The elections went on. If he's the leader, let it go. There's another time for us to regroup and come back. Look at George Weah. Just
Well,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I mean,
That,
just the final results were announced. Barely 10 hours later, look where we are today.
right. I didn't listen to everything he said in his church because, that's when he talks the longest. He speaks to his handful of fans. And I hope he knows that he is a lame duck. And he being a lame duck is probably why his cronies think they can destroy the place or destroy the country or the people before they leave, and they will not be held accountable or use other people to do their dirty work. But no, under the new sheriff in town, he will be held accountable if he doesn't curb his people. It's under his watch. He can pretend like he doesn't know or hear anything as he normally does, but these are his last days. So he wants to leave, as he demonstrated by um conceding early. Today's the official announcement, and look what happens. You know, word has it that he did not consult his cronies, and he conceded. So of course they're upset. And given the announcement, some of them are really taking it personal. I even saw on the news there was some loot. There was an office that was looted. Those are mechanisms that should be put in place to stop all of these. And I'm sure they know whose office it is. So those are things that he will be accountable for. I suggest he talks to his people sternly, Thank you.
Joel, please unmute the device. You're still muted. Okay, go ahead now. Now
Yeah.
you.
Listen, look, like Miss Roberts said, the entire George Weah government is a lame duck. There is no reason for them to be still in power. I know the Constitution requires that this take place, but what happened today has the propensity to escalate to a point where we would not be able to control. And you know, this thing people keep saying peace, 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 peace. Look, Liberia has not had peace for the last 6 years. Okay, there's been an absence of justice in this country, and you can't say you have peace when there is no real justice for people. So we haven't had no peace. Let's be frank. But I would say this about George Weah. I mean, I've been hearing people, giving him credit for, conceding. But George Weah is not. He was obligated. He had no reason to not concede. Okay, he was under a lot of pressure. So George Weah is not. I wouldn't consider this man a peaceful man. The problem that we're having today is George Weah has lost control of these boards. They no longer have use for him. The CDC as a party is officially dead. They have died. I mean, today was the nail in the coffin. So they don't have no use for George Weah right now. They're going to do whatever they can, okay, to stay relevant, and that is by thinking that they still have a monopoly on violence. But I think the opposition need to show them that the CDC alone does not have a monopoly on violence. We don't look. You can't have a situation here where you have the chief of police who is a CDC partisan, the mayor is the CDC partisan, holding any kind of investigation into what's going on at the Unity Party headquarters. Okay. If there is no transitional government within the next few weeks until January, we will have more and more of these violence. Thank you.
I think the biggest mistake we made is to allow these people to taste power. Now they feel the country belongs to them, and they can do whatever they want. Even in the absence of power, they want to get involved into domestic terrorism, like to gay.
Well, this thing I've said, I'll keep reminding all of us, CDC is a cult. Do you know basically the Republican Party is dead? It is basically a party of Donald Trump. It's the same situation with CDC. And Brother Joy is right. CDC is a done deal. It was never an institution. It was a cult built on an individual. Those who rallied to form CDC, they may have their various views. But in the end, it was using this figure, the populace, in order to gain access to the economy, to gain access to our security infrastructure, to gain access to our institutions. And what did they do in the end? They broke them down within the period of 6 years. For us who have been involved in nation building, writing about it, it was not hard. That's why in the very early part of 2018, November 18, 2018, I wrote a piece. I said George Weah would be a one-term president like Donald Trump, because you could see the erosion of all of these things. And we said it well. What is peace? Peace is not the absence of violence alone. Peace, sometimes you think it is there for us to have, but when institutions are broken, there's no peace. Economically, there's no peace. And this is where we found ourselves as a nation. We've broken down. So, Reverend Ade, we gotta push the pop to really stand strong to rebuilding these institutions that George Weah eroded in 6 years' time.
Reverend Ade, the man cannot even take care of the basic needs of the people. I'm from another local sister radio station. Over 25 people went to the hospital, and the hospital is saying we can only accept 17 because there's not enough room bedding to take in everyone.
And Ashford, quite frankly, that is sad. And that is why the majority of Liberians advocated for this change, a change that they can truly believe in the personality of Joseph Imam Boyka and his vision for Liberia. So the truth is, we can lament the past, but we can only restore hope that in just a few more days, Liberia will experience transition. and have hope that they can believe in. When they go high, when they go low, we go high, in the words of Michelle Obama. The stability of our peace is the collective responsibility of every Liberian. And I certainly appreciate the ambassador today when he called for reconciliation, recognizing that people are still hurt, people are still disappointed. But those people who are disappointed, they are also Liberians. They are not outcast. And it is our goal now to be able to bring them on board for the greater good of the country. And I'm appealing to every sedition. Your loyalty is to your country. Your protest should be against the bad policies. Let's make Liberia our home, because should we fight, we hurt ourselves. We are being praised all over the world for the transition that we anticipate. President George, we are conceded. I understand folks may speculate from body language and so forth and so on. I choose to recognize that he conceded. And I'm only calling upon President George Weah to take on the responsibility and maintain his legacy of concession by recognizing that the stability of our peace, the Liberia he told us on Sunday that he wants to live in, he has to also ensure that that Liberia is safe, sound, and secure so that he can spend the rest of his life there with the citizens that once trusted him. So we are calling for peace, and we are calling once again all Liberians, including our partisans and all of the alliance members of this collaboration, to stay calm and not react, because it is intended to incite violence, cause commotion, and prevent us from having this inauguration. So let's go high when they go low. Let's use strength of peace through strength to make that difference. Thank you.
Uncle Pete is the man of all counters, and
Something.
he does not see party. He sees Liberia, and he sees the people of Liberia. Uncle P, what do you make of this disturbing development that occurred today in our country?
It is very, very devastating. After what I learned today, believe me, was unbelievable. We need a lot to do in that country. We are aware that we went through crisis, and we commended President Weah for accepting the election results. As a matter of fact, I was one of those that spoke to President Weah when I saw Mark ballots in Foya, Lofa County, the day before the election. That night, the next morning was election. I said to him, it is over. Apparently, President Weah accepted the results of the election, but you have a lot of disgruntled elements within the CDC that feel that they shouldn't accept the results, and they are becoming adamant and trying to create chaos in our country. I'm asking the new government that will come to power, the perpetrators must be brought to justice. The war, what George Weah did, it was historical for African countries, for a leader to be in power in Africa and be defeated and accept the defeat. It was something very, very historical to our country. And we all went on Facebook. I was one of those that commended President Weah for doing it. But apparently a lot of seditions that are there, they didn't accept President Weah accepting the results. So they want to cause chaos in our country. But I am saying that these guys must be brought to justice. They must be brought, they shouldn't go with impunity. They have done a lot in our country, and they have gone with impunity. But this one, believe me, you or me, all Liberians should condemn it. Even seditions must condemn what few disgruntled elements within their group did today. It is very, very devastating.
Thank you, Mrs. Lady Brooks Roberts.
Yeah, I know that, we all say that, we commend him for his humbleness and coming up to concede earlier than expected. But as someone said it, I think this man is tired. He gets all the blame for all these craziness that these people are doing. The new people that found wealth, in 6 years. They went from mattress to 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 the high table. So most of them are resisting leaving this gravy that they have enjoyed. But in anything, you're supposed to save something for rainy day. If they didn't save, that's why they're so upset. But if they saved, they will be happy to, stay around and eat their little things small, small until the law catches up with them. But because they were greedy, they didn't save enough. So now they want to put this man in another situation that he may have to go into exile or be, I hate to say the word, be put into prison, because those would be his two options. He runs away and seek what's the word when you go for
Asylum.
when you go to a
Asylum.
Immunity.
diploma. Yes, diplomatic immunity somewhere. Thank you.
Well,
So he better talk to his people, else he will be held accountable as he has seen the past leaders.
I kind of feel it's we're already in a ditch that we're trying to get ourselves out of, and to hear what went on today is kind of disturbing.
Well, good evening to everybody, everyone on the panel. Thank you so much again, once again, Ashford, for the opportunity. I think, from my point of view, this moment was something that it's a required moment. Okay, this is a moment that needed to come. And what do I mean by that? We all know that the CDC leadership over the past 6 years did not demonstrate, did not present itself in any other way other than this. Okay. So when the elections results were read out last week, I made calls this evening myself to some of the reporters that I've built relationships with over the past months. And they confirmed to me that from the reading of the results, not the one from today, but the one from last week from the NEC, that there was no doubt that they had no other way out. The 25 remaining polling stations, even if they had given all of the votes to the CDC, they wouldn't have won the elections. So there were plans put in place to figure out how to create a stalling of the reading of the results from the NEC. The leadership of the president himself did not agree with that. So there was a group that was adamant that something had to be done. And this is what caused the split within the CDC leadership. There was a split. There is a split. And once that took place, the president himself decided to say, you know what? This thing is over. As far as I'm concerned, it's over. He chose to demonstrate strong leadership. He chose to take the higher ground. He chose to rise above everything else, and he chose to make a concession call. He called the executive manager and press corps over to his residence, and they were there. He made the call to President-elect Boycott. And the other side was extremely upset and angry about that. He made his national address that we all discussed last week. Okay. So now the situation is these guys have decided to create chaos. And now President Weah, as he said in his national address, what did he say? There's a line in there.
30 seconds.
I am still what? The president of the Republic of Liberia. Am I correct?
That's right.
Am I correct, Idatus? He said that. It's in the line of his speech. I am still the president of the Republic of Liberia.
Yes, he did.
That's exactly right. What does that mean? That means that the entire national security apparatus of that country reports to who? To him. So he bears the ultimate responsibility. And one thing, if there's nothing else about George Manneh Weah, is what George Mane Weah cares about. What George Mane
Himself.
Weah. That's exactly right. So this is the second step for him to rise for his what? For his legacy.
Thank you.
So he's going to make a decision to separate the sheep from the goats. He's going to have to throw some people under the bus. He's going to have to demonstrate leadership that my presidency, my record, my name is not going to be attached to this in any way, shape, or form. But most importantly, what I think we Liberians abroad, the diaspora, should do, as we all know, all of us living across the U.S., there's this thing in our cities called what? Crime Stoppers. It's called Crime Stoppers. What we need to do under your leadership, Mr. ASHFORD GARLEY, on this bridge network, we need to create a Crime Stopper purse that everybody donates to offer as a reward for the arrest and any information leading to that, to whoever those perpetrators are, because they will be sold for 30 pieces of silver, and we need to present that silver so that they can be arrested by the public or provide the information leading to their arrest.
Thank you, Kenyan. Joel Dennis, I mean, this guy came flattered and said, you know what, I'm not a politician. Clearly, you can see that he prematurely conceded before the actual result. That alone says something, that he didn't want to be there in the first place. So I think I agree with you that they get the military to take over in waiting for January the 15th inauguration day, because I mean, more things are beginning to happen now, and you can put George Weah on the ticket 2029, or dog will win him. And in fact, he has lost respect from the CDC partisans. Please unmute the device, Joel.
Listen, I don't agree with Mr. Phillips' analysis of the concession of George Weah. Look, we've seen the history of presidents in Liberia who have refused to concede. There's a history there, not in the very recent history. And if George Weah is listening to his wife, Claire Weah, she who knows better knows that if he doesn't concede,
I can't talk right now. Yeah.
Please mute yourself.
Yeah. So if he has a wife and children who also understands the history, the violent history of our country, George Weah had no choice. George Weah shouldn't be given any kind of kudos here. And let me say one more thing. I listened to some of his speech or whatever he did at the clergy at his church yesterday. I heard George Weah blaming his ministers for getting involved in petty gossips. That's why they lost this election. Can you name one minister that George Weah fired? Can you name one minister? The only ministers that I know he fired were the people who are supporting the opposition, or somebody who went and got involved in some gossip at the United Nations.
Rally. Yeah.
Went to a rally. So this is the president sitting here not even taking the blame for him hiring useless people. And then if he's sitting there the whole 6 years listening to them gossip about their employees and not firing them, how can I take this person serious? He is the leader of the country. The buck stops with the president. Okay, it stops with the president. I mean, George Weah is either unbelievably stupid or he suffers from dyslexia. And there is no reason that, I mean, Liberia, this experiment that Liberia has gone through, I just hope that this was just a one-time thing, and Liberians are now smart enough to not hire a president like this ever again. So no, I don't give George Weah credit for conceding. It was either concede or die. That was it. Or go to jail. There was no other options. He knew that. Thank you.
Dr. Gay.
Yes. Again, the panel here, you can tell the deep pain of what's happening in our country. Yet it's a mixed emotion, because there is a way we are trying to move forward, but we are reminded of a dark past. And Noam Chomsky, in his book Failed State, clearly described Liberia and why, when state fail, you see these erosions. And the other, your brother mentioned it well. Mr. Weah issue of of losing was very clear. There was now a path. I told people, whether people say George we have graciously conceded, there was nothing else he could have done. There was
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
the first time in our elections where the technology applied to us. As for you are reading the numbers, I knew the number. In fact, if you check most of my Facebook page, we already given a number ahead of time.
That's exactly right. Yes.
On with the number before before Unity Party's group, we already knew the number. So there was no way Mr. Weah could have played with our intelligence at this
That's
time.
exactly right. Yeah.
So we move forward with our country to think, what can we do? That's why Omen Parker has a lot to do, because we're gonna hold him accountable too. This is about us fixing our nation. It's a failed state. When George was giving Ellen Johnson B+, some of us were giving her C-. And I don't give F in my class. So he got a deep D-. And how can we change that around to help rebuild our country? It's on all of us.
Well, Uncle P, a man from all countries, you have a huge responsibility on your hands. And now that we are in day one of the announcement of the president-elect, we have January 15 for him to take over. And look at where we are today.
I want to say this. There is a need for President Weah to save himself. That is, he should vigorously come out to arrest the perpetrators of this heinous crime today at the Unity Party headquarters. Let me repeat. There is a need for President Weah to vigorously investigate and the perpetrators of this heinous crime today at the Unity Party headquarters be brought to justice. If not, and I'm advising President Weah to even tighten his security. There are a lot of disgruntled seditionists that visit him every day at his house, that visit him at Jamaica Resource. You can never tell. Some of them might have some clandestine mind they might set up to do something harmful to him. He should be very careful with those close friends, seditionists that are going to him every day, Jamaica Resource. He should investigate this case. And again to Joseph Boakai, do not come to be president in Liberia and you say, this county did not vote for me, so we're going to isolate them. No. Southeasterners didn't vote for me, so we're going to isolate them. Or this person didn't vote for me, so we're going to... The segregation in Liberia was just too much with this red cap and blue t-shirt by seditions. The only way you can walk Maria at night or you walk outside the areas, you must be a sedition, you must wear CDC cap and walk with complicity. That should be put to a stop. Joseph Boakai must embrace all Liberians. Do not come and say, oh, we're not going to carry development to Grand Coup, Riverside, Sano, or Grand Jida because they did not vote for us. The whole Owahermine voted for George Weah. No. Embrace all Liberians. When you come to be president, you are not president of Unity Party. You are president of the Republic of Liberia. So from now, from day one, I'm urging the president-elect Joseph Boakai, embrace all Liberians. Look, in a democracy, everybody cannot vote for you. We are not in North Korea. Those that didn't vote for you, there should be no segregation. Absorb everyone because you are the father now of the nation. We need a change in our country. We need a change. I mean, Liberia is in the intensive care unit. We need doctors to come up.
Thank you.
So I'm urging President Joseph Boakai to do that. And I'm urging George Weah, those that did this today, save yourself, President Weah, bring them to justice. Start that tonight. Send your investigators out tonight. That those perpetrators, even if it's your brother, let him be held liable. That's what I got to say for President Weah. If not, I see you yourself in danger. Let me repeat, President Weah, I'm advising you. Be very careful with those boys that are coming to you now to Jamaica Resort. You have a lot of disgruntled elements around them. They are not satisfied that you accepted the election results. Some of them wanted to fight the election results. Let me give you an example. When President Doe was president of Liberia, He was surrounded with guns. The Americans saw the danger and they voluntarily told him that they could get him out of Liberia. But you know, in African countries, those that are around you, that they know when you leave, they are chopping with staff in the Liberian way. They will always advise you to fight to the end, and at the end, you bear the consequence. So I'm happy for the action president we are took. But be careful with those boys that are coming around you. They are not satisfied.
Thank
The
you.
Jefferson Kochi, a lot of them. Just do not eat with them. Tighten your security. Arrest those that are involved in this heinous crime today at the Unity Party headquarters. That's my advice.
Idatus? What's it, Idatus?
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes, thank you. I just want to reassure the public, and we certainly recognize the sentiment of what was expressed. The Honorable Joseph Imam Boyka intends to lead a government that is inclusive, a government that recognizes the needs of all Liberians, including the counties, and what development is. And that is why he's put a plan together, a vision that has to do with the macroeconomic stability of the country and infrastructural development. In fact, he lamented the fact that when they were there for 12 years, we had roads that were going to the southeast. They were pliable, they were drivable. Unfortunately, we have to go through Ivory Coast. So the people of Maryland, people of Grand Jide, people of Sino, the southeast, can rest assured that this will be a responsible government intended to incorporate the dreams and aspirations of all Liberians. We can certainly understand that we deeply need to be reconciled in light of what we've just been through and in fact witness. So we can rest assured that is his vision. And but as far as the national security of our country, it will be his number one priority. As president, we are leads now. It is incumbent upon him to understand that he is still the president of all Liberians, irrespective of our political divide. Hence, we're asking him to please investigate what has happened. In fact, some of our viewers are reporting that the perpetrator has been arrested, and hopefully we will get some news from this government. I want to again caution all of our collaborators, sympathizers, partisans to remain calm, do not react, do not retaliate. Let the law take its course. Let's listen to the Honorable President-elect that encourage all of us to be calm, respect the law. In a few days, we'll have a responsible leadership. Thank you.
Mrs. Roberts, the wise man once said, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. And you can clearly see from 6 years ago when Ambassador Boyka said, we will accept these results and there will not be a blood on my head. The people won the election, give it to them. Now, 6 years later, he has emerged victorious. Instead of thinking about how to lead our country from the mess we're in for 6 years, now he has to think about lives being lost.
Well, yes, why it is true. This is why we have talked about how you have to be measured, you have to be strategic, you have to have all plans. I'm sure, in the process of campaigning and thinking that you are running for this position, you have to think about, putting things in place. Why this is unexpected, it is true, but he knows who he's dealing with. These talks have done this their whole, opposition lives. And just as the commander in chief told them, now we're in the opposition. So they have gone back to their comfort zone as being terrorists and just causing terror to people. If they weren't protesting, insulting the chief, the commander in chief then, who was a lady, they were doing something at their party headquarters or causing chaos. So by virtue of his command that we're back in opposition, they're back to their shenanigans. But as stated, we are going to hold the president, the current president, responsible. And if he doesn't do the right thing, he will go to Bele Yala. And I
Mr. Phillips.
hear the before he comes in, I hear the prisons are very bad off over there. They are against human rights. So if he wants to go smell some of that, he should try it.
Mr. Phillips.
Well, again, like I said, I mean the I go back to what I said earlier. I stand on what I said. Mr. Weah cares, President Weah cares very, very much about President Weah. At the end of the day, I think all of those who left the U.S. and left different aspects of campaigning for the CDC and went and filled his inner circle and went through the first and the second round, who were close to him, who have good sense and good understanding, will advise him that at the end of the day, you bear the ultimate responsibility because you are still president of the Republic of Liberia. The Ministry of Justice, the Inspector General of National Police, the NSA, the Bureau of Immigration, the CID, the ERU, the EPS, all of them report to you. So every aspect of security, national security, intelligence, information feeds and ends up on your desk. So you bear the ultimate responsibility. And so you are going to have to find a way to move to the next level of truly what? Demonstrating leadership and cutting yourself or isolating yourself from this chaos and making sure that these people or perpetrators are arrested and brought to justice. And a message has to be sent across the entire organization of the CDC that this will not be tolerated. Okay. And my next point is this. This is what happens when a country like Liberia, Dr. Gay mentioned Noam Chomsky's book of the failed state. Okay, you look at Liberia. We've been talking about this part of last week, Idatus and Ashford. The lack of jobs and opportunities. These guys who are in office, they don't have anything else to go back to. As Idatus clearly recited and explained, the vision that Joe Boyka and the Unity Party leadership bring for Liberia, these guys know that when they look through that vision, they don't see themselves in there. They don't see a place for themselves in that new vision, in that new Liberia that's about to emerge out of all of this dust and all of this chaos. So what are they going to do? They're going to hang on to the past. They're going to do everything to hang on to the past. And that's what we're witnessing before. So the best thing we can do is to move this nation under Joe Boyka's leadership to power up this country, create jobs, provide opportunities so that we can move, we can quickly graduate from a failed state position into a thriving metropolis and a thriving nation where everyone had better opportunities than to go back to the past.
Thank you.
Until that is done, I end with this. Until that is done, this vicious cycle and flare up of violence is going to continue. That's just the reality.
Thank you, Phillips. Web folks, if you just joining us, this is ASHFORD GARLEY live on British Radio Africa. We are live from the Twin Cities of Minnesota. Next, we would touch on the loot that is going on now by this current administration in the various offices. Before then, we want to take a word from our sponsor. Discover your ideal rental opportunity with Honeybee. Honeybee is the sister that owns 2 houses and stores that she have available for rent at convenient locations. And for inquiries, please contact her at 813-850-2550, or you can also send her the WhatsApp message. And these facilities are located in Painesville near the Marufield Rebelsfield Highway. Joel Dennis, we saw this morning that the assistant minister from the Ministry of Information, you went to the office, took up assignment with the office equipped with anywhere from curtains to carpet, television, decks, but the place has become a football field. Not only that, we saw a few weeks ago the outgoing legislatures with all truckless sun for and son, packing refrigerator, air conditioning, and desk. What is going on? These guys are ruthless.
You know, you know what? I mean, what's really shameful is not even these guys. It's the people that after the election was set between two people, the people who tried to legitimize CDC, Alexander Cummings, Telia Uri, Costa, and the likes of these people, knowing they knew all of this about the CDC. This is nothing new. CDC, when Tilia lost, when she ran against them, they burned down her truck. They tried to kill her. So these are nothing new about these people. So I mean, these were the things that these people, when they tried to legitimize CDC and turn them into some sort of real legitimate party, as the Mr. Gay said, this is a party that's built around a personality, a cult. Okay, this party is not built around any principle. When George Weah leaves, there is no CDC. It's finished. The party is over. So I'm not surprised to see people stealing things from these offices. I mean, my hope is that the incoming government will audit these people, audit them, and put them on TV for all of us to see. Let ask them, where did you get this wealth? Where did it come from? Make this thing public. Make it very transparent, so there can be consequences. Okay, and that they must not be allowed to go free on this stuff. There is no way they should be allowed to go free. Thank you.
Dr. Gay.
Yes, thank you. You know, it's a good segue to the loot. So now which actually ties up into security. What's the essence of security? One of the definitions I've used is that security is a prerequisite of which effective nation building is built upon. Without security, democracy is useless. So we saw the minister who went into why he on a study leave, according to him, Colette. He's on a study leave. How he even did the process by institutional amendment. He's somewhere else giving order for his chief of office staff to empty his office. Now, what did he do it? Because he also have seen members of this very cultic administration doing it. President came into
Exactly
office,
right.
as a declaration, did what he could do. The rest of the minister refused to declare the asset. So this was basic. Look, I gave the Liberian people credit. Who those who voted for George Weah and the rest of the people who voted for other parties. Look, the Liberian people are the holder of their democracy. So the looting must stop. And if President Bouaka comes in and realizes that security is this prerequisite upon which he can move further, we cannot get the loot. Because I promise you, when you do audit, you're going to be shocked with the abuse of our national resources. You will say, my goodness, semi-tour or tourism or semi-tourist economy, you're going to realize it's nothing but a big hole. We say D-hole cover hole, but there's not D-hole cover hole. There is a bottomless pit, and we're going to just have to start all over.
Uncle Pete, when you served in government many, many years ago at the Ministry of Finance, you go to the office and you meet the office well stocked with uh, office material, desk, television, and of course carpet. You don't when you change assignment, you don't take those things with you. They were there for you. Computers and all of that. Even here in the real world, you have computers assigned with you when you living. You are held accountable. In Liberia, people are taking tires from underneath the car, shipping the car in other countries just to protect the things that don't belong to them.
These guys, they are exhibiting how they are careless, they're irresponsible. And none of them came to power. They insulted Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. They told us they were coming to make change. apparently they are worse than what happened during the administration of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. I mean, why loot after? But what everybody is saying, the new government must prioritize auditing all these guys. They must be audited. The Liberian people must retrieve whatsoever these guys took for them lawfully. You see guys that couldn't afford $50 rent. Some of them used to ask their friends for $50 to pay their rent. Now they have mansion and palaces within less than 6 years. They have house, and when the point is so that it's frustrating. Some of them even taking out the money and building houses in Ivory Coast, in Ghana, and other places. These guys must be audited. Do not, like President we was saying in church, oh, we are all one. We shouldn't audit. No, the government must prioritize the auditing of these guys. It was because of the auditing they killed those auditors from Ministry of Finance. And I want to say this. This is not the first time auditors are being killed in Liberia. When I was working at the Ministry of Finance as Deputy Chief Auditor for Business Trade Levy, one of the Deputy Controllers, Natalia Mene Massa, they did a maritime audit here in America. They went and there was a lot of discrepancies within that audit. Lansana Kroma, at that time, they were dividing the ministries on fractional heads. Lansana Kroma, Alaji Kroma's group, they were in charge of Ministry of Finance. I am saying that I'm not going to hide it. Lansana Kroma and others sent people to kill Natalia Mene Massa because of the audit report. We went there that morning to his house. His mother was downstairs. They went in a room and killed him for audit report.
Oh my
So
God.
there's a need for these guys to be audited in Liberia. For no way they should get there and say, oh, we are all one. We shouldn't audit them because the mistake George Weah made, he got there, he didn't audit the government of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Apparently, that's why he's trying to say to Joseph Boakai, we are all one. We shouldn't audit. I think that was the greatest mistake George Weah made. He didn't audit the government of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. But I want to tell you the reason why he didn't audit Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, I worked with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf at the Ministry of Finance. We used to call her the Iron Lady when I started working in 1979 during the trouble time. Ellen Johnson is a smart woman. When she got there, she bribed these guys. And in bribing them, she had evidence. And they guarantee her that they were not going to audit her. She did it particularly that the government wasn't going to be, because she knew her children and others were going to get in problem. So President Boakai must not make that mistake. Say we are all one, we one family, so we're not going to audit. Auditing is very, very necessary and important when they get there. That way, it will serve as a deterrent for others coming into power. So I want to warn the government that will come to power. Please audit these guys. Let them be held accountable for all the discrepancies, all the corruption that they did in that country. They must be held liable. That way, it will be a deterrent for others that will come to power in the future. Looting offices is very, very unethical. Looting offices. Everything that is in the office is the property of the government. It's supposed to be, it's not your personal property. And the idea of giving cars to people, when they leave, they loot the cars. It is very, very wrong. That means you don't have your country at heart. Everything you met in that office is supposed to be left there and turned over to the next government or next person that is coming in place of you. You are not supposed to take out computers, air condition, and other properties of government.
Thank you.
Government is continuous. So I'm very, very sad about what they're doing, looting the offices. They are just doing it, that they're taking Liberia backward.
Thank you. Idatu Sade.
Mr.
So as
Garley,
for
what
what we
happened?
quite right, go ahead. Let Ms. Brooks go ahead and speak.
Mrs. Brooks, I told you just spoke.
No, you go ahead. I just want to let him know I'm here. I think he's
No, go ahead,
just
Mrs.
here for pictures.
I'm sorry for that. Go ahead, Mrs. Brooks.
It's okay. I just wanted to bring to your attention. On October 4th, I actually shared that with another person, Philip Bird Brown, and I shared it with you just now, Mr. Garley. Philip Bird Brown made the the I don't know, it's a assertion or suggestion or prediction that when NEC announced the results and CDC did not win, there would be commotion in the street. He said that, and I think he should be held accountable. This is somebody who said he's in the preview of the NSA and the knowledge of security. So here we are, the day elections are announced, the exact thing that he said is happening. He should be held accountable. Listen to that, and if you want to play it, please play it. He was on the T Max Strata show. I listened to that, and I, who has no, I mean, I don't live in Liberia, I was frightened to hear this man say that. He said every parent should make sure they have dry goods at home because there will be an issue when the elections were announced and they were not in CDC's favor. And today we see that. So if you get the time, please do listen or share it with the in our group so that everyone can listen. He needs to be called for questioning.
Thank you. Mr. Addy?
Yes, so quite frankly, Ashford, what we saw happening at the Ministry of Information today is a microcosm of what has been happening in our government over the last 6 years. However, this is the the one of the worst mediocrity in our leadership of the government that we've seen, where you're looting government items. It is quite sad. On the issue of those who had been predicting violence, that is why the church has been praying. Because we know we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness in high places. So we've been praying against that, and we'll continue to pray, hoping and trusting in God that the plans of the enemy to incite violence and destroy life and properties will not work. So we're confident in that. On the issue of anti-corruption, I want people to know that the Honorable Joseph Yuma Boyka, President-elect, he certainly intends to work with international entities to restore stolen assets or wealth being saved overseas. He intends to make sure that transparency and accountability will be sought after in government. And make no mistake, he is not playing around in terms of the rule of law. Unfortunately, as president-elect, we are still under the leadership of President George Weah. And in the midst of all of these chaos happening, we have not heard him speak. So it is my hope that he will begin to speak, hopefully tonight, to the nation or early tomorrow, calming everybody down to ensure that this violence do not escalate to a place where people will have to be worrying as to whether or not they have dry goods in their homes. So those people who are predicting violence, we are hoping that they will change the tune, as well as all of us who are on this platform. Let's encourage all Liberians, to my CDC brothers and sisters. Liberia is the home that we know. It's the home that we have. It's a difficult thing to accept a defeat, but the truth remains violence is not the answer. So therefore, if we can come together in union strong, our success will definitely be sure. But divided we stand. Unfortunately, we will fall. And Liberia do not want to go back to the dark days. So I'm appealing to all of our sedition brothers and sisters. Liberia is the nation we know. Your president, our president for that matter, George Weah, stated that you guys can come back in 2029. That's the beauty of democracy. Let your vote be your voice and not violence. But when people start to die because you want to come back to power, will they in fact bring you back to power through the democratic process? So let's not flood the process. The international community is developing some respect for us because our president conceded and our incoming president accepted the concession speech. So let's be mindful. The stability of our peace is this. It is the collective responsibility of all of us. So let's speak truth to power, but let's be peaceful. Let's be mindful, because this can escalate. But those are naysayers who are interested in violence. Be mindful, because we are praying against you. We encourage you to change your perspective. Let's think Liberia, love Liberia, and build Liberia. Thank you.
Mr. Phillips, you were called to serve your country. You're not called to steal from your country. In this case, you stole for the most part 6 years. You're leaving. You came with nothing, but you want to leave your office with everything that you can lay your hands on. What does that say to the mindset of these people?
Well, again, I will expand upon what Uncle Pete said. And the reality is there's a culture of impunity. Okay. There's a culture of impunity. So this thing has now grown. And if we don't, it's almost like a cancer. Okay. Not almost, but it is a cancer. And it is infecting people, as Uncle Pete said earlier. Okay. So last night you talked about reconciliation, right? So reconciliation is like solving, there was this math we did in high school called simultaneous equation. I don't know who can remember that. It's called simultaneous equation, where you're solving two equations simultaneously. And that's what reconciliation is. And that's what I believe Joseph Yuma Boaka is a wise man. He's very measured in the way he responds because he has age and he has wisdom. So the way you reconcile a nation is in several ways. You've got to run several different equations all at the same time. One, like Uncle Pete said, you be strong and you be very, very adamant on the auditing. Am I right? You audit, but you don't just stop at the auditing. You refer and you empower the what? The Anti-Corruption Commission. Because once you audit and there's discrepancies, you move it to the next step. So that process builds confidence in the population that indeed people aren't getting away with this. Number two, to support that process, you publicize all of the what? All of the trials so that people can see what happens and the price people pay for carrying out raping, pillaging, and plundering the resources of the nation. The next equation you have to do and implement is you've got to, I can't overemphasize this. You've got to move forward with massive job creation, because if you do not do that, then you're going to have everybody sitting and waiting. And once you have massive number of people idle, that's a recipe for chaos. You get my point. So you reconcile the nation by creating jobs. Number two, you audit. Number three, you prosecute. And then, like Idatu said, you work with the international partners. You identify where people have their assets and you freeze them. But you've got to make this information public to rebuild confidence in the population. Because once the population lose confidence, then what happens? The cancer continues to grow. Then the next group of people believe that they can what? That this culture of impunity continues. Because this is the issue. If you look again, I come going back and forth doing business in Liberia. You had the General Auditing Commission. What happened to John Malu? We all know the story. The conflicts emerged. What happened to the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission? The conflicts emerged. Why? Because the people who were being audited, the people who were being prosecuted, had the proper connections, and they were what? They were exempted. So once you send that message, what you've done now is you've now corrupted the entire system. Idatu's made mention of the scripture. What does the Apostle Paul tell us? Just a little leaven does what? It spoils the whole lump. It spoils the entire lump.
Thank
and
you.
Is where we find ourselves. So we've got to reconcile, but we have to do several things at the same time so that we can get out of this failed state status or this failed state phase of a nation. So it's not one thing that solves it. It's several things you have to do, simultaneously moving along.
Thank you, Phillips. Well, folks, I want to say a big thanks to all of you for taking up time of your schedule just to form part of the show tonight. Just before we begin taking closing statements, I just want to add to a series of pictures I received from my brother, Dr. Gay, that he sent medical equipment to Liberia. And at the time, Bill Twagwood served as the managing director of the NPA. So the equipment was there, and he didn't have the opportunity to get them out. What did Bill Quarry do? He took the equipment, sent them to Riverside, built a clinic, and used that to campaign as senator in Riverside County. You have the fights, Dr. Gay. I think he can be sued for that, cause stealing, you know, the equipment. We saw you going in Chicago to lobby for these equipment for your people. And now this guy is using them for political purposes. This is just not fair. Dr. Gay?
Well, this is part of truth telling, truth and reconciliation, because when the city of Chicago gave us over $10 million worth of equipment, they said, we're not only going to give you the equipment, we're going to help you build the first emergency response institute in Africa. The guy just retired. He's going to be going for the incoming president's inauguration. Wonderful guy, Patrick McDermott, who I got connected to through the city of Chicago, the mayor's office. And you bring these equipment and pay for them. That's what have been used today, because these are one of the most expensive stretchers you're talking about. Striker stretchers. You saw COVID-19, how important those stretchers were. The city, in fact, wanted them back, but I had to lie to the city of Chicago. I said they were already gone. We say suspension of the ethical. I lied to Chicago. I'm saying this here because I thought our people needed them more than anybody else. We have AEDs. You see the pictures. We have some of the most expensive fire gears, and our leaders took them for themselves. In fact, one of them also, who became senator in one of the counties, said we sent them and we sold them. I had to send that picture to the American embassy. In fact, everything you saw, the U.S. government has access to that file, because they were trying to impugn my reputation as a foundation. My father, Bubba Gay, my brother, Gagom Aware, we were all packing those things. Doko, we say, he sympathized with President George Weah, but he was all part of this process so that every county could have emergency response equipment. We brought a fire chief here. We brought the entire fire department. They put authority officials to Chicago to build this city relationship, and it failed under George Weah administration. And I'm a critic. I criticize anybody. I criticize Ellie. But I love my country more than I would love any political party and individual. But
thank you. Thank you. With that, folks, we want to begin taking closing statements now, starting with my friend and brother, Joel Bennett. Your device is still muted, Joel.
Yes, my prayers goes out to the people that was injured tonight, the people that died. I want to offer my heartfelt condolences. I'm confident that the future of Liberia is way better than our past. I think, like I said on the show many times, when we all come together, we can all build a better country. The experiment of George Weah is in our past, but if we don't seize this opportunity now, all of us, the Liberians in the diaspora, Liberians at home, if we don't seize this opportunity now and rid Liberia of this cancer right now, if we don't seize this opportunity, we will not have a future in Liberia. We will all be sitting in America waiting to die in a nursing home. This is our chance. This is our only chance. So, like I said, I pray for the people of Liberia. I really hope we find some way out of this morass. And when I wake up tomorrow morning, I would like to see George Weah take a stance. Now, I don't want him to do any investigation. I would like him to fire the mayor of Liberia. I would like him to fire the police chief, because I don't believe they need to be handling this investigation. I believe they're all complicit. So with that said, I'll leave it like that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Uncle Pete wanted to say a big thank you to you. You are work, but because of Liberia, you're here tonight to share with us what's going on in our country. So give us your closing statement.
Yeah, listen, I know everyone that supported Joseph Boakai. It is traditional in Liberia. They are anticipating to be absorbed in the workforce. But I am saying it is impossible. The government cannot absorb everyone in the workforce. So I'm conscientizing the government that will come to power. Let them work on the justice system in Liberia. We should have transparent justice system. And after having transparent justice system, let us prioritize the paving of roads in our country that will be able to attract investors to come in our country and tourists. No investor will come to your country when they do not have access to those beautiful places, Greenville by the beaches, Maryland by Lake Shepherd, or Grand Gita by that beautiful mountain. Our country is not accessible. So that way, investors are not coming to our country because how they will come and even go to see the areas? They got to get in a car and push car. No investor wants it. So I'm begging you, gentlemen, let us prioritize the pavement of roads from Cape Town to Cape Palmas. It is very, very important and necessary. When we pave our roads and we invest our assets and we have investors coming to our country, we have tourists coming visit our counties, people will be absorbing the workforce. People will bring their market from Maryland to Monrovia within a day, within a couple of hours. Then you will be able to drive and exit. Maybe you'll be driving on 252, then you exit on 694 to Greenville. You exit on 212 to Grand Gide, to Nimba, to Grand Crew. Private, look, we shouldn't come here. The new government, we say, Totowa didn't do it, Totman didn't do it, so 6 years too short. It will go to countries and fall to their feet and beg them. They shouldn't even give us the money. Let them bring in the companies and pave our roads. That's very, very, very important. The only way we can absorb people in the workforce in our country is to open up that countries that people will have access to the counties, paving the roads. That way, it will attract tourists.
Thank you so much,
and investors. You're bye for now. Thanks very much, ASHFORD and everybody. I want to say God bless Liberia, and I hope that what happened today, President Weah will take action. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you.
Good night, Uncle Pete. Good night. Good night.
Mrs. Roberts, as you tie in this with your closing statement, do you expect to hear from President Weah to say something on this horrible incident today?
Well, that would be the greatest thing to do, but based on his history, I'm sure we'll not hear a word from him, and we'll hear from his surrogates. However, I've learned there have been someone captured, and hopefully we'll get more details from the newspapers in the morning hours. But in closing, I want to thank you guys for being here tonight as we discuss the issues of our country. We were hoping that we will have less to talk about as we have gotten the greatest news, that there were free and fair elections. I haven't heard David Etta laugh, but I heard her laugh today. Like, I'm sure in appreciation that this monkey is off her back. And, that's how everyone should be jubilating and excited that our country has, done it for the second term in our lifetime, at least, a peaceful transition. And, well, some of our lifetimes. I don't know about you. And so, we thank God, and we're just going to continue to pray. Those of you that have the president-elect's ears, please talk to him to tell his partisans, stay off the streets, unless you guys plan something for the daytime, and after that, at an appropriate time, everyone goes home. You know that the country is dark and people do bad things during the darkness. And that's why they kept Liberia dark so they can continue doing what they do. Thank you all. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful
want to
evening.
say want to say hi to the Reverend Walter D. Good in the second. When will you bless us with the many talent that you have, Reverend Gooden? We'll be looking forward to see you appear some of these days and British Radio Africa. The Reverend Idatus Ade, please give us your closing statement.
Thank you, all Liberians for watching tonight. Thank you, wonderful and esteemed panelists. My fellow Liberians, on behalf of Joseph Boyka, he extends his deepest condolence to those family members who've lost loved one tonight. It is his hope That what happened tonight is not a reflection of who we are as a people. We still have a heritage and a dignity to protect. We understand that these are difficult times. But Liberia is the nation we know under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. It is His hope that we can all put aside our differences and become a constructive opposition, which is part of democracy. Violence is not our identity. Our past is not a reflection of our future. We've done a great job having these elections, and it is our hope that as one people we can come together in the midst of our diversity and build a wholesome, functioning society. A society where violence will not be the only way we express ourselves, but truly through our voice, our debate in the political, intellectual space to change minds and fight for the souls of our nation. To my brothers and sisters of CDC, our President George Manuel, encourage all of you to stay calm and wait for 2029. You can certainly be a great opposition, or you can certainly join this government. Let's make a difference together because our nation deserves better. We understand that there are a select few of you who are yet angry and disgruntled. But we also make this appeal to you that only if you will give us a try and see whether or not you will not benefit from this leadership. We understand your partisan loyalty, but our sense of patriotism must reflect the democracy that we believe in. And henceforth, we are calling all of us to put down the weapons of warfare. Let's join together to build Liberia for everybody's benefit. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Adi. We'll now go to Mr. Phillips as he gives us his closing statement. Mr. Phillips.
Well, Ashford, once again, thank you so much for the opportunity. Panelists, thank you for participating and interacting. First and foremost, my sincere and deepest sympathies to the families of those who lost their loved ones tonight in this cowardly act of, as Ashford called me on the phone today, domestic terror in Liberia. And I strongly believe I have confidence in the fact that President Weah will indeed rise to the occasion. I strongly believe the Justice Minister Musa Dean cares very much about his credibility and his integrity to make sure that these perpetrators will be they will be caught and they will be brought to justice. And this is just something where all of us as Liberians have to now understand that when people like these rise to campaign for state power, now we have an understanding of what the consequences are when these people rise to power and develop a following. It is a very, very dangerous thing. In as much as they have the opportunity or the right to assimilate, but we need to work harder on educating fellow Liberians back home about what the future holds. To the Unity Party government coming into office, my strong recommendation, let's focus on creating jobs, building the electrical system to expand electricity across all of the country. As Ms. Brooks mentioned about the darkness allows, festers, and creates so many evils and wickedness. So if we electrify the nation, create jobs, provide opportunities, we can then as a nation be able to reconcile, execute justice, do all the audit, persecute, and at the same time move from this failed state status to a prosperous nation. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Dr. Gay.
Peace without justice is a facade for democracy, for nation building. We cannot move forward if we do not reconcile. Reconciliation doesn't mean forgive and forget. It means be reminded and bring those who have wronged to the book. That is the true meaning of reconciliation, often missed by those who use a narrow definition of it. As we mourn the losses and as we transition into a new era, which I really believe is a new dawn for Liberia, let us be reminded of our history to reconcile our history. I pay homage to the three young boys, three young men, ancestors who were taken from Providence Island, uh, from St. Paul, taken as young men to Sierra Leone to be sold out or were rescued by the British. These three young men will come back to form what today we know as Liberia. We don't know their names. William Tamba, a Kwesi young boy, David Noah, Ibasa, and William Davis. They today, the very spot today where those people were murdered, they knew that spot. Monrovia turned 200 years as a name, April 7, 2024. We have that river that is so dirty. I heard Brother Phillips talk about that too. We need to be creative in getting jobs for our young people, like Roosevelt did, creating a workforce so that Liberians themselves can be involved. That is a form of reconciliation. So our own brothers and sisters from CDC who were left at the wayside, while the likes of Eugene Nangwe, Sematua exploited them to wear beret, militarizing them as if we were at war with each other. I trust that President Bwaka and JKK will work with all of us to make Liberia a new country. And I will end with the two words, as always I said. Rule one, don't quit. Rule two, we should always remember rule number one. Thank you.
You could see in your day of feasting. Life isn't just a little play like toy. So your day arrived when you least expected. 'Cause you always thought you were well protected. But now you feel like a fish out of water. So now you're wondering what's the matter. Oh, remember you said it couldn't happen to you. Now you're thinking how to start anew. Running man will catch it destroy.
And folks, that's all the time we have to be with you tonight. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow night, same time, same place. And I want to say a big thanks to all of you, our viewers, those who have taken the time of the schedule just to fund part of the show tonight. With that said, please allow me to borrow the wordings of the wise man. Tough times don't last, tough people do. Don't see okra and swallow bone because you can't hide your nakedness from bathing bucket. When God bless you, don't see that medicine. And of course, your stroller, the medicine of the microphone, the golden voice of radio, the Africa's media, do extraordinaire. Get sit to by your get, Zebon Lura, and Yakuo, G. You wouldn't know Muzu, and one year mad double. I'm ASHFORD GARLEY. Have a good night.
Thanks, Ashford. Beautiful.